Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video answering a pretty common question about the open world and exploration builds in Guild Wars 2. Before we get into the builds and thought processes, I would like to thank everybody who has subscribed up to this point, with an extra special thanks to those who stick around for the whole video. You guys are the real MVPs. Guild Wars 2 has a lot of good things about it, but one of the primary content types is the open world, be it open world meta events or general exploration. With map completion being a requirement for various items, it's no surprise that I am currently working on my 13th core map completion. So here are some of my thoughts on how I tailor the builds to best suit the open world without feeling like you are useless against champion mobs. Just a quick disclaimer, these builds are not optimized. Some of them can be directly ported over into group content, however the gear and specialization setup is tailored towards solo play or open world gameplay specifically, with new players in mind. I am just saying that they're fun, fast-paced, and cheap or relatively easy to gear up. Since Guild Wars 2 has revamped their leveling system, it is likely that you're going to get to level 80 well before you are finished exploring or completing the story. So the gear that I will be recommending is level 80 full Berserker's exotic gear. The cheapest exotic Berserker gear is Devona's gear. So if you look on the trading post for Devona's, you will get that. This whole set can be bought for about 4 to 5 gold depending on trading post prices. And it even comes with the Rune of Strength, which isn't a bad option. It is not the option that I would choose, but it's not bad for most builds. So if you're tight on gold, you could just leave those runes in there. Best in slot runes for power are currently Scholar runes, which are pretty pricey. They're anywhere from 4 to 5 gold each. So if you do have the extra cash, you can go ahead and shell out for those. If not, you can get away with Eagle, Privateer, or many other cheaper options, getting all 6 runes for about another 2 gold. So if you're tight on cash, don't worry about it. The trinkets, the rings, amulets, accessories are going to be a little bit more expensive at about 2 to 3 gold a piece. So if you do have the extra cash, go ahead and shell out for those. Or as you work your way into the living world content, there are very cheap ways that you can get ascended accessories. I put together a handful of examples, but they're going to be following the same basic concept. Giving yourself boons while also utilizing the DPS trait lines will allow you to kill mobs quickly and complete encounters before the survivability becomes really all that important. Most classes have a decent built-in survivability to their kit without actually needing to trait into them. Each class has a specialization that really suits this kind of playstyle. The weapons are up to preference. However, I typically use the strongest ones regardless of what specialization they belong to because of the SoTo weapon master training. However, if you don't own SoTo, you can use whatever weapon you prefer to use. For the warrior, the Berserker specialization with its trait Heat the Soul is critical to getting that fast-paced playstyle. Additionally, the Discipline trait line allows you to swap weapons quickly, run faster, and enables you to just run and kill, and then run to the next mob and kill, and run to the next mob and kill. For the Revenant, the Herald is the king of boons. With elevated compassion, utilizing Glint's legend, you will never be out of offensive or defensive boons. This build is one of the best in instance group content, so if you get comfortable with using it in the open world, once you optimize your gear, you can port this build directly over into group content. For the Guardian, the Willbender is a great solo play specialization since all of its virtues can be cast and upkept while overlapping with each other. So you get a lot of mobility, you get a lot of boons, both offensive and defensive, and it's really good for just running from mob to mob or location to location. This build does lack quickness, but you have a really high burst, so you do get alacrity, your skills are off cooldown really quick with some of the other traits that it has. So the Willbender is definitely my recommendation for the Guardian class as a open world build. For the Ranger's primary instance build is the Soul Beast. However, in the open world, the Untamed is a lot better. It has access to quickness, it has a ton of defensive capabilities that are built in, a lot of self-healing, a lot of barrier. So when you're playing this build, you can just spam your skills, run around, and just bonk things with your hammer. It does considerable amount of damage and has baked in defenses. So if you are exploring and leveling up a ranger and you don't know what specialization and you're not really interested in the instance content scene yet, I would go ahead and start with Untamed and then branch into Soul Beast once you have the extra hero points available. For the Necromancer, the Reaper specialization is one of the best in the open world. It has access to Reaper Shroud, which gives you an entirely expendable, refreshing health bar. Your skill 3 in Reaper Shroud reduces your damage, reduces your incoming damage. It gives you stability, and auto attacks give you quickness. So Power Reaper has been great in open world PvE since Heart of Thorns released. Now the Scourge specialization is the better option once you are in instance content, but just the sheer fact that condition damage builds, especially in the older content, don't really work on everything. It makes it way better to just run power and run Power Reaper in particular. For the Elementalist, I am far from a great Elementalist player. It is my least played class, but the Catalyst specialization allows for quite a bit of boon access and a good amount of damage. I think there could be better alternative options, potentially with the Tempest. However, I prefer playing the Catalyst in open world. I just basically spam all of my abilities. It does have a lot of built-in defenses with the core Elementalist. If you are an Elementalist player, I definitely recommend you look into some of the other content creators that are good on the Elementalist, that they would be a lot better at explaining how it all operates and what you should be doing on Elementalist. For the Mesmer, I play the Power Chronomancer in open world. It does have access to quickness and some defensive boons with limited boon duration. Getting comfortable with Chronomancer kind of opens up a variety of different builds for you, from full DPS to healing to boon DPS roles. So it is more so a getting comfortable with the build. The Virtuoso is kind of a better, easier option if you are interested. Power Virtuoso is a thing that exists. It doesn't really see play in instance content, but I still believe that with the use of wells, the use of all your pulls and all that stuff, that the Chronomancer is quite a bit of fun in the open world. For the Engineer, it's no contest. The Engineer, the Quickness Scrapper, is a meta group support build. It's because Scrapper has so many baked-in defenses. With access to gyros, you don't really need to get super sweaty and use all of your kits. It gives quickness, it gives super speed, it has a lot of stuns, it has a lot of blocks, evades. This specialization, the Scrapper, is the king of the Engineer open world exploration. Last but certainly not least, we have the Deadeye, which is a really fun class to play in the open world. It has a trait line, or a trait called Steal Time, and you can get a burst of quickness to help you mow through enemies. Personally, I would play this with a staff if you have Heart of Thorns and SoTo. However, rifle, dagger, even running around with short bow and bouncing stuff is perfectly fine. With the ability to stealth when you get into trouble, there's no reason really not to play a full bore DPS class on the Thief. With that, I definitely recommend playing Deadeye on the Thief for open world. And with that, I hope you like the builds. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite builds are for open world or exploring or solo play, and if you like the video, please drop a like. Please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. And thanks again for watching. I will see you all next time.